Welcome back. Today we are going to be taking a look at the Yak 141. This thing is pretty one-dimensional and there's really not much to say about it other than just show you gameplay. This thing has a set of pretty damn good missiles. You can carry 2 R-27ERs maximum. You cannot carry 4 like on the dev server, but you can supplement it by R-27Ts, R-27Rs and R-60s. Now I'm going to run the R-27Ts because I like to have some kind of IR missile. I'm not really a fan of the R-60s if I can choose not to run them, because well, the range on them is just extremely limited. This plane accelerates extremely well, it's decently maneuverable, but like all the other VTOL aircraft, it loses speed rather quickly. Luckily in this thing, you get it back extremely fast, and you see when they are on the runway, it's kind of like the Harrier when you are flying something like a Sabre. They just launch off the runway and they are gone. You kind of want to stay out of trouble. You don't want to get into these 1v2s and 1v3s and stuff, because you just lose too much speed and you don't have enough speed to begin with, enough straight line speed to really get away and get positioning in those kind of fights. The top speed is about Mach 1. You're not going to go much over it, at least on the deck, and this is a pretty big handicap. Before we get into it today, thank you to all my YouTube members and my Patreons and everyone looking to get this decal to put on your vehicle. You can do so with the discount code down below. And if you buy anything, you will get it. You will find it under logo types. You say skill issue and you slap it on the side of your plane. Without further ado, let's get right into the gameplay. Some of the systems that this thing has. It does have a pretty good radar set. You do get a helmet mounted display, which is extremely helpful, super convenient to have. And this thing gets a radar gun sight, and you get a lead indicator as well. Now more on that a little bit later, it will be timestamped. It's a little bit finicky, it has its niche, but overall it's not the way to play. At least in my opinion. It's not that accurate, but we'll get into that a little bit later. The radar is good. The flight performance is okay, it's at least maneuverable, but you just become a sitting duck very quickly. So the main thing you want to do is stay out of harm's way and just kind of sneak up on people. It really is just the VTOL experience, the Yak-38, the Harriers, they're all the same thing. Good acceleration, mostly good missiles, and just a mediocre top speed with a lot of speed bleed. So if you are used to the VTOLs, this thing really isn't that different. The VTOL capability doesn't start until about 600 kilometers an hour, and if you keep the nozzle on 50%, you can actually use the afterburner till 50%. After that, the afterburner will cut off, and you will lose a lot of speed very quickly. But I mean, if you are going 600 in this thing already, you're probably locked in a fight regardless. The gun is a little bit awkward to aim on this thing. You can see it, it's on the bottom, on the left side of the plane. And the guns, they're still not that great. We are running ground belts today because the HE is even worse. But the gun damage in this patch is pretty damn pitiful. Thank you MiG-29, I definitely needed that assist with a missile. And here on the screen you see something that's actually pretty damn annoying. If you use half afterburner, or you just super cruise without the afterburner, because it does go up to 0.99 Mach on the deck without the afterburner, you're just gonna get stuck in that Mach cloud. And the Mach cloud has improved visually, but in terms of gameplay, it's better and worse. When it's there, it's much more obstructive. When it's not completely filled out, and when it's not completely there, it's better. So it's a little bit of a trade-off. If it's there, much worse. When it's not there, or when you're like on the edge of it, it looks much better, it feels much better, and it just feels much more modern. But this thing, you're gonna be seeing it a lot, because you mostly are gonna be sticking around that Mach 1 era, because this plane just doesn't go much quicker at all. At least it's not there for very long. But if you are in a little bit of a chase, for example, and you're trying to get the shots off with a gun, you don't have missiles left, for example, it just gets in the way. You can use the gun sight, but if they're not flying perfectly straight, it's not gonna have that great of an impact. Right now we are trying to fly away from an EJ as well as a MiG-23, and the main reason I'm just flying away from them, I'm not gonna be outrunning them. They will catch me anyway, but I just want to separate them a little bit from the rest of their team. We try to go in for a sneaky head-on, we don't manage to get anything, and they both actually end up turning with us, which is great for us, because this is the kind of fight that we can actually do something with. And here, this is the first time I'm actually trying to use the radar gun sight, and you can see it's just jumping all over the place. And at this point in time, I thought to myself, I just want to make sure I actually win, so I'm just not going to use it. I want to make this a 2v1 that I can actually fight. F4 EJ, very slow, he needs to turn in, otherwise I'm gonna catch him. And because of that, the 27 ER is definitely going to find its mark. J8 comes in, MiG-29 comes in, and as we are saying that, an F4 EJ comes in. We go low, we dodge the radar missile, at least I think it was. I'm not really sure, you can see by the RWR. And we are just completely boxed in, and this is the main weakness of this plane. Of course, every plane is going to struggle if you are boxed in, but with this thing, you're gonna lose your speed quickly. You're going to get it back relatively fast, but you just don't have the time to actually accelerate away. So you're going to try to get a head-on in, he rolls out of the way, and it's just a matter of, I just keep looking around, I need to cut afterburner, I need to dodge these missiles, and now we end up going 550. Now if I straighten out here, I can get it back quite fast, but they just kind of split up, they come in one by one, and I'm trying to stay alive, I'm trying to get like 1 or 2 more kills in, but they're actually playing it right, and they're not sticking very hard, but they are still putting a lot of pressure on me. I almost kiss a tree, wouldn't be the first time in this thing, because the drift at low speed is quite bad. And I decide to just go into VTOL, try to make the EJ or the MiG-29 overshoot, but we get shot down by someone else. And if you saw very closely there, that's the new ejection seat. It's 1 frame if you actually die. It's pretty funny. I'll show you a clip that Cavenup sent me. Make sure to check out his channel, he makes tank content on the daily. We get hit by the Phoenix and you see the Phoenix for a single frame and then it just boom, parachute. I think the animation needs a little bit of work in that regard, but hey, at least we're getting there. We finally are getting ejection seats. Does it add anything? No. But it makes me feel warm and fuzzy inside when I see one of them pop out. You don't see him very often because it's just a frame and then a parachute. Let's just hope that soon it will actually be there. EJ in front of us, he keeps afterburning. I noticed that he keeps afterburning, so I'm just gonna shoot an R27T at him. And he keeps afterburning, so missile finds its mark. And down he goes, and he never got to bomb his actual bombing point. We turn around, and we are just trying to stay around the outskirts of the map, and you can definitely tell that. There's 2 EJs coming in, I'm not sure which is which. It can be an ADTW or an EJ Kai. Luckily for us, they both are ADTWs. And neither of them are gonna make much of an impact. Why did I go for the left one instead of the right one? Because the right one looked a little bit more aware. The right one was closer and he was more of a threat. But the left one was flying directly at us and the right one was already kind of starting to go sideways. He looked like a little bit more experienced. I'm not sure if he is. I'm not sure if it's actually the case or if he just happened to make that maneuver. But it showed that he has a little bit more of an understanding. Or at least he gives me that impression. And if you give me that impression, I'm gonna be a little bit less likely to shoot a missile your way that you can actually dodge at that kind of range. We shoot an R27T at a guy that's in orbit. Unfortunately for us, he actually goes back up and he runs the missile out of energy. So that's actually never going to connect. It could have, if he hadn't actually seen it, but he was pretty vigilant and he ends up actually dodging it. This guy, however, is not gonna have the same kind of fate. Clap. R27 ERs, very annoying to dodge, very annoying to deal with. Especially if you're not going particularly quick. So, we kill all those guys, or they kill all those guys, and now I'm on the 6 of a MiG-23. He doesn't see me, I don't have missiles left, because this is a little bit later on the map, in the match, and I just lock him up with Pulse Doppler, or without IRST, so he gets the radar warning, because I want him to turn around and fight me. I have him locked up and you can see that my cursor is kind of going all over the place. That's because I have him radar locked and that's going to give me a radar sight. He does the thing that everyone does. He does a 180 against the plane with barely any fuel and no missiles and he goes right back to the airfield. The thing is, this radar gun sight, if the enemy doesn't actually maneuver at all, is pretty damn accurate. Absolutely slapped out of the air. This is however not always the case. And here we are on the 6 of an EJ. And I'm trying to line up my guns. And if people are maneuvering and moving, it kind of rocks your shit. It really throws me off course because I don't know where my cursor is anymore. I turn it off and I shoot this bomb out of the air and I end up killing myself. Theoretically, of course, I end up landing and repairing and then win the match. But the game crashed at the end and the file got corrupted. Kind of unlucky, isn't it? F-16. And here's another case of the gun sight actually working. We are on the 6 of this F-16. The other guy actually pops a blind hunt and it goes on me, so I am now spotted. The F-16 will very handily outrun me. However, I'm close enough and I scare him enough to the point where he tries to go defensive. He doesn't try to lose his speed, however. Look how nice and straight he pulls. I shoot like 4 rounds and I take his entire plane apart. The F-14, however, is now on the way to shoot us down. The nice thing is, the new contrails in this game make it much easier to spot people at altitude, and it makes it so that you can kind of preemptively react to people that you normally might not be able to see, because that dot isn't actually spotted. We go very low to the ground and the phoenixes just go into the ground as well. We almost get splash damaged. Luckily that ends up not actually killing us. It only damages our empennage and we are gonna continue on our merry way. As I said, we simply just don't die. That first clip was photoshopped, by the way. We are gonna be ignoring that. F-14 flies over us. I know that he knows exactly where I am. So I'm not gonna pretend or think that he might not see me, that I can just pitch up to him. I don't have missiles either, so it's just an absolute death sentence. I'm gonna fly away from this first missile. Looks like a 9H, no radar warning at all, and I should be able to somewhat outrun him. And in the off chance that he fires a second missile, I can flare both at once, which is kind of what happened if the first one was in range to begin with. So we throttle up, we don't have much fuel, and we go up and over his nose. We are now locked into a fight. If he runs away, we are completely boned. Luckily for us, he actually tries to dogfight us. Now from his point of view, if you don't know this vehicle, it looks like the F-14 just has much more energy here. And he does. The thing is, this acceleration at low speed is so good, and he just took off, that we are able to just kind of sit inside of his turn. We crit him now. He is not going to have a great time. If he tries to run away, we get dead on his 6. If he tries to turn, we are still dead on his 6. So really there's nothing he can do at this point. He shouldn't have tried to fight me. He should have played it a little bit slower. But you know, a lot of people are not familiar with this vehicle yet. And in general, you just fight this thing like you fight a Harrier. It's just simply too slow. For my closing thoughts, I don't think this is a very special plane. I mean, the missiles on this thing, the MiG-29 basically has everything that this thing has, but it has it in a more complete package. This thing, in terms of flight performance, just is not good enough. It's not meta, it's definitely not bad, and it can be kind of funny. But the gimmicks of this thing, the real gimmick of this thing that it has over the MiG-29 is low speed acceleration, the VTOL capability, and of course the set of 4 R-27 missiles. But the fact you can only carry 2 R-27 ERs, it doesn't really matter. I don't think it outweighs something like the MiG-29. I think this is a kind of an off-ball, goofball experience, a goofy plane. But in general, I don't really see it being worth it. If you like something new, if you like something special, by all means, try it out. It's not horrible. The missiles carry this thing by a long shot. And it's okay. It's something different, at least. It's definitely unique. At least as top tier next to the GR7. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to check out Cavenup. And I'll see you all again tomorrow with another patch video.